Welcome back to another episode of Debt Nation, where we are busy putting death out of business. I want to thank my sponsors. I want to thank Thrivous. You know the deal. If you want some free Thrivous, some free nootropics and geoprotectors, share the link around. It goes from $5 all the way up to $160, and you can get your hand on some free Thrivous. You can as well, Chad, if you share the link around. You say thanks, Thrivous. The rules are in the description. You can get your hands on some free Thrivous as well. So that's a great deal there. And also I want to thank the sponsor, I Am Transhuman, for doing a great job. We do have another sponsor coming up shortly. I'm very excited about that, but I won't reveal that right now, but very excited for that. So Chad Wilson, it's great to see you, sir. It's good to see you in good health.
You too.
Before we rock in and talk about the Green Party United States, I want to check in on your health of yourself and your family and your community. How are you, and how's everything going there in your part of the world?
Well, thank you for having me on, man. It's good to see you're doing good too. I mean, I'm fine. Nobody in my family has been hit with the virus yet. In fact, I've seen a couple, through proxies that some people whatnot know some people that have been affected. But right now, just Tennessee is, for the most part, kind of keeping it cool. We haven't had the mandatory stay in right now. I know Nashville has, the Davidson County, but I'm like outside of Nashville, and I think we've had one case in the county, and it's a smaller county, so everything seems to be just trying to wait it out and see what happens if they close a lot of courthouses down, and a bunch of stuff's closed down, but just toilet paper's gone, of course. It's disappeared, so that seems to be like a theme. But
what do you think? What do you think about
good.
the toilet paper issue, the global run on toilet paper? Is it silly, or do you think that there's some reason or logic behind it?
Well, I guess you could. Now, do I think it's some sort of conspiracy? Now, I guess I could separate the two. Now, that would be something that they would do if it were a conspiracy. That would seem like something that everybody uses to get everybody freaked out. So I could see them doing that if that's what it was. But I think it's more of people freaking out and just trying to hoard things, and a lot of people trying to make a hustle.
Hoarding things is understandable, and I mean, you come from Nashville. I mean, Nashville's a great place if you like music. By the way, I always wanted to go to Nashville for their music festivals and things. Hoarding things is okay if it's batteries and food and canned food and all that, but why toilet paper? I never understood it. I got some toilet paper over there, but I don't get it. I just anyway. All right. Well, look.
I was gonna say there was a guy in Chattanooga, I think, that had bought a bunch of stuff, but they ended up, like, I don't know if they arrested him, but they kicked him off the Amazon site because he bought a bunch of stuff, and then he was upselling things. So I mean, there's a lot of hustling going on, which I think is making the problem worse. So. But that's the Tennessee guy, actually. But whatever. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, get price gouging and all this. Yeah. Well, there's different ideas for that. But look, I want to cross over to you because you're on the show because you're a member of the Green Party of the United States, and I want to check in on the health of the Green Party. I want to see what they're up to. But before we do that, I just want you to quickly tell people. What does it mean to be a member of the Green Party? What are some of the core values of a Green Party? If I wanted to join the Green Party, why would I want to participate in the Green Party? What is in it for me, et cetera, et cetera? What have you got to say there? Thanks, Chad.
Well, thank you. The Green Party, there's 4 pillars and 10 key values that we follow. I look at the 4 pillars because I feel like it's like an umbrella of everything. So the 4 pillars are ecological wisdom, justice for all, grassroots democracy, and nonviolence. Of course, one of the things is that different states have different terminology for each of those things. So those are the ones I've picked out. Some say peace instead of nonviolence, but I like the word nonviolence because I think we need to be clear that if we're going to make a change, that we have to change the way we approach it, and we have to make change without violence, and really create a culture, design a culture that allows us to make changes. Since we can communicate, across the world, and this is unprecedented, and it's never happened in our society, that we know, of course. But the values, I feel like, are very universal. And it was what really brought me to the party, as far as made me feel like this is something that could really break the two-party system, because everybody can get under those. One of the things is social justice, but I changed it to justice for all, because social justice has a kind of a negative connotation. Not that I'm romantic about terms, but I think justice for all kind of just fits it better. And under that, if you don't want to get screwed over, nobody should be messed with, and whatever, to whatever degree. So I feel like it's the vehicle for people to show what politics is supposed to be about. How a political party is supposed to be ran, how you're supposed to engage with people, and how we're supposed to work together, even if we don't agree on everything. I really feel like we can bring that to the forefront. We have to break the two-party system. America is a two-party mentality: left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, red versus blue, Fox versus CNN kind of thing. So I think we have the best chance of really breaking out. So.
Wow, cool. Yeah, and so it leans on these 4 pillars of peace, ecology, social justice, and democracy. It's a very interesting set of values. What does the Green Party think of the United States Constitution? Does it entangle that as part of its value set? Does it put it at the center, or is it more aligned? What does the Green Party think about the United States Constitution? Does it have an opinion on it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it has a pretty thorough platform. They have an opinion on damn near everything. I think it's pretty much people over profit. For if you want to sum up everything, there's a lot of pieces to what they're saying. Like some people don't necessarily agree with all the little ins and outs, but for the most part, it's like a progressive platform, and all these things that are now starting to become popular, the Green Party has already been talking about it for years. So the ideas, even with Medicare for all and that kind of thing. I mean, we were pushing the Green New Deal in America, and then the Democrats took that and stuff like that. So we're bringing ideas to the forefront, but we're not necessarily the ones that are front and center with them. It takes time for those to get out, because we haven't done a great job at I guess breaking through the blackout, the media blackout.
Yeah, and I noticed the that with AOC and the Green New Deal, it sort of popped up there, and because I've been talking to you and I've been talking to others about the Green New Deal for a while, and then AOC sort of pulled it out of nowhere. But yeah, I totally know what you mean. So I wanted to ask you what the Green Party's opinion on the coronavirus is. You've mentioned this idea of people before profit, and with this coronavirus, there should be an equitable amount of tests for people. Trump said something about maybe rich people will get the test first and leave everybody else behind. Maybe that's just the way things have been always. What would the Green Party response to the coronavirus be? What's your guys' opinion on the coronavirus that's going around the world, wreaking havoc?
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, since the Green Party, it is a federation, so there's a bunch of state parties that sign on to the national thing. So there actually seems to be, quite a bit of difference in I guess, well, say difference in necessarily how someone would go about making certain changes, the process. But I think everybody wants the same things. They see the continuous overbloating, like the bailing out the corporations, like we're seeing in this new package, this thing that's supposed to give people money, but it's really giving trillions of dollars to the corporations and bailing them out. So I mean, there's a lot of rhetoric, or not rhetoric, but a lot of being against that, but then there's a lot of people too that just trying to survive. I mean, some of this stuff is hard to really make certain decisions because we don't have all the information. Every day we're getting new information. We're trying to figure things out. First we thought it was just old people, and then maybe some young, and now we know that it's it doesn't affect certain people. It does, and so there's a lot of things that we're learning. I think I see a lot of people that, of course, we don't trust our government, so people are asking questions always, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I do see a little pushback on that and a little dismissal of that, but I mean, if you're lied to, and you don't trust someone, no one, that's natural to ask questions, especially the timing of everything and how everything went down, and a lot of just it seems to be a lot of weird things. And I know we were talking before, and you said like this is obviously the first crisis that you guys have really gone into. So this is like, I mean, totally different than anybody's experienced. Everybody's pretty much at home, so it's weird, and I'm not sure how everybody's processing it. I think most people are just kind of, trying to learn and try to pay attention. What's going on.
And I've been calling it here on the show. I'm calling it the time of great reflection. But it's interesting you mentioned the bailouts. So the airline industry wants a bailout, the prostitutes want a bailout, everybody wants a bailout. They want a chunk of those federal funds, to save their industry. Now, this brings me on to something, that you might be interested in, and it's called stock buybacks. Chad, do you know much about stock buybacks? And if you do, what do you think about stock buybacks, Chad?
Well, I don't think that. I think if you sell your stocks and you want to buy your stocks back, I mean, that's one thing. I think that the bailout of these large corporations, for them to give them money after they've been reckless with it, and then for them to use that money to buy their stocks back, I think that poses an issue, a problem. So it's just, I guess, the what specific situation or part of it we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, it's not necessarily the concept of buying back something that you sold. It's using the system in order to keep plundering from society, and using the government as a bottomless well of money, of bailing someone out of distress.
I'm really opposed to. I have been, and I am maintain. I am really opposed to stock buybacks because I'm a capitalist. I'm not afraid to say that I'm a capitalist. And what stock buybacks do is what these firms do is they buy back their own shares and take the amount of shares off the market, right? And what happens is the top CEOs who own a bunch of those shares, the value of their shares goes up, which means that they can get bigger and better bonuses because the amount of shares are reduced and the dividends increased, and then their price goes up, which means that that's reflected as a better price on the market, which means that those CEOs then take home more bonuses, more pay, and rip off the workers, and the workers who are on minimum wage. They use the unions, or they use Congress or the Senate or these municipal governments to either layer themselves with taxes, or they use every trick in the book, and therefore to suppress the worker at the very bottom. And
Right.
they've done this for years and years and years, and we complained about it for years and years and years. And then the workers are on the front line, Chad. The workers are the people who lose their job first. They're the first to go.
Yeah.
And the people, the companies and the firms that were engaged in stock buybacks, these CEOs, they get a golden parachute, they get a bailout, and they get bigger and better bonuses, leaving the workers disenfranchised, leaving the workers out in the cold. And, we're heading into a point in time, Chad, where there's almost 3 million Americans now who are about to enter unemployment. This is unprecedented. This has gone from one of the lowest unemployment rates in American history, because they've reduced a lot of the red tape. They've cut that minimum wage down to the absolute minimum, where you have to have Walmart workers, Chad. You've had to have Walmart workers who are on welfare, who have full-time jobs. That's disgusting. That's the Walton
Right.
family in America, who have, using the government to take 2 or 3
And,
layers of profit off. So those workers, the Walton family, these workers who work in Walmart, they work 50, 60-hour weeks, and they're on welfare, which then they will have to pay back, and they're getting taxed to pay for their own welfare, while the Walton family gets tax deductions, and it buys back its own stock, and they get golden parachutes, and they get bailouts if anything happens wrong. It's a 2-tiered, 3-tiered, 4-tiered system, and on top of that, Chad, there's an interest rate apartheid wall where the big corporations can borrow at near 0% interest rates when everybody else is stuck on 20, 30% credit cards, or in their house loans at 5, 10%. So these big corporations can borrow near nothing. They get free money to screw everybody else over. And this is the type of society you get. So now 3 million people, and you know what they won't, and you know what? I was always a big one invested in Giabo, the global insurrection against Baker occupation. We bailed out Wall Street last time in 2008. Now we're going to bail out Wall Street again. We're going to bail out, like you were saying, with the big companies. This is a disgrace, Chad. This is a disgrace to the average American worker. And, I really want the Green Party to be all over this in advocating for workers' rights. Workers are getting screwed. Workers are getting thumbled by these big corporates who are just absolute fat cats and a parasite on society. What do you say?
No, I mean, I agree with you there. And it's especially in that, to that degree, in what you're saying, the tier system. I mean, absolutely. And we're seeing that happen over and over and over. And Hillary Clinton was on the board of Walmart back in the day. So there's a lot of connections to a lot of these things, and how it's operating. They, like I say, they don't pay damn near any taxes. And then everybody else is kind of making up for the dirt that they're doing to the workers. So so I'm looking at it from a perspective of, since we have the internet, and I don't know if you've been following Gary Vaynerchuk at all. Gary V.
Sir.
You got to check him out, man. He's like your modern day madman type thing. So what he does is he creates content and shows people, because he does work for all sorts of major companies and artists and YouTubers and people that work for themselves. But the idea is to show how the social media works. So his whole thing talks about your direct consumer, having the internet, so you can work for yourself. So I think there has to be a real shift in how we do things. We should do more co-ops. We should be working together. We should be working for ourselves. And I know that's not necessarily easy. It doesn't change what's going on and all these things, but it's just about the idea of understanding the shift that needs to happen. And so anyways, I was going to say that Gary, is on point. I would actually want to put him as the Secretary of Education because of his approach to it, about teaching people and to focus on what they're good at, what they're interested in, and build a career, build something off that. And something he talks about too is like, the value is, it's more valuable to do something you love and make a little less than it is to do something you hate and make a little more. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of there's a lot of it's a lot of philosophical things and as well as talking about the tech and the scientific about the hacking of humans, through social media and stuff like that. So it's just interesting to look at, and I've just started taking it from a different perspective. If we're going to defeat these corrupt people, these people that are exploiting the predatory capitalists, then we have to understand we have to go around them and work on creating our society around them. And we have the connection, we have the internet, which is really is. I don't think people understand the how powerful it can be if used correctly. Of course, which means they would shut it down before they would lose their power. And of course, drama. So that's the whole thing about the coronavirus, which like I said, is like people don't trust our government. People don't trust the powers that be, and it wouldn't be beneath them to release something like this, to do something. I mean, it wouldn't. See, that's the whole thing. I'm not saying that they did. I'm saying it wouldn't be beneath them because of what we know they've done, the red flag or the false flags, the dirt. I mean, there's your Iraq, WMDs, Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam War, Afghanistan papers just came out, Syria, we got, Libya. This is pretty clear that our government is doing the dirty. So I think it's just like a real perspective shift that we need to make. So I mean, so I agree with you completely. Like the whole thing with what Walmart's doing. I mean, they've basically killed the mom and pop shops, and I see that being out in the country. You see like a dollar store. They have a lot of dollar stores. I believe like some of the richest people in Tennessee own dollar stores, and some little towns won't allow those to come in, because of they kind of
jobs.
Well, they protecting local jobs, but they just it almost takes because like you can't have they don't have any Walmarts in LA. You know that, right? There's no Walmarts in LA.
No, I didn't know that.
I'm not sure like how big the circumference is, but they're not allowed to have any Walmarts in LA. So the point what I'm saying is that is we just have to really organize. I mean that's really, and something about what's weird too is interesting is that you see a lot of people on the right, conservative people, and Trumpsters too, that are okay with this bailout package that is a socialist program, and it's interesting to see people okay with that when the what's happening is affecting them. So it's like the framing for them to see that is interesting to see. It just means that people are more willing to understand something if we're able to frame it and put it into perspective for them to understand it. Sometimes it has, something bad has to happen for them to understand it, but that's a positive thing for me to see. That's what Jimmy Dore was saying. The Trump is out-lefting the Democratic Party. And it's bizarro world. I mean, again, what they've just passed, the stimulus thing is messed up, but just the principle of what everybody thinks it is good. See, that's the thing too, is like sometimes like the principle of something that's being sold isn't what it is in the meat and potato part. So it's important to make the distinction, because what people want is again what is different from necessarily what they're giving him. So I want to say that I'm not against the idea of what it is that people want and the help and what we need in this time of crisis, but I don't want to see what they're doing again with the the bailouts, and these same people that are just, ravaging the world, and while everything's down right now, that's what they say. They're going to go and buy up a bunch of stuff and then, just completely corner the market.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You mentioned. I just want to touch on something you said. You said that the Trump bailout, this not Trump bailout, but the bailout by the U.S. government, this $2 trillion stimulus package. You don't like it? Have you? I mean, obviously it's very large. You can't read it line by line, but in general, you don't like it. You don't think that this is a good idea to keep the American economy running during a complete shutdown of the American economy, or am I missing something?
Well, see that. There's the point. It's not that I don't agree with that, but it is to the degree in which and how they're doing it, because they're putting a small amount that's going to people and a small amount that's going to the hospitals and a small amount while they're just overloading these same people that have been,
Yeah, there's a misallocation there. It's a bailout for Wall Street and not for Main Street.
Right.
And we've reached a point in history where
to separate them, maybe that's the way to do it, just to separate the two things, so that way it doesn't have to be connected. And that's one of the things that they do is they try to throw in a bunch of shit about everything else, in order to see how much they can get. And it's political rather than it is about the actual people that are hurting and the people that need help right now. So, that's the part that, again, it's like the Green New Deal. The idea is right. We need to curb these things. We need to focus on renewable energy and our infrastructure and all these different things. But, it's got 5G in it, the Democrats thing about rolling out 5G. And we know that there's a lot of things that are suspect and a lot of things going on with that. So again, it's not that I'm against the principle. It's the actual, what it's saying.
Yeah. There's some really good points in there, Chad. And I'll switch gears a second. So you've got your own primary stuff going on. I want to get into that in just a second. Let's start talking about some of the characters that you're maneuvering against and that you're working with and stuff. But first, before I do, I want to get your reaction to the current state of the Democratic race, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. And potential others, but I think we're down to these two. What is your reaction to that? What do you think the future for Bernie Sanders is in particular?
I think Bernie Sanders has hurt his. I think eventually he's going to look like a real coward because he's not really stood up to the establishment. And a lot of people are feeling that way. You can't call Joe Biden your friend. You can't ignore all these different things. You can't say that, Joe Biden's not corrupt, because he is. It's like when you choose to hold water for the DNC, for these corrupt people, rather than having integrity. And I understand he's running on the Democratic Party and he's he signed his pledge, whatever, to not go negative or attack. But it's so silly because, that has to do with somebody's perspective and what an attack is. I mean, if you're running for president, you're supposed to it's open season because your character is, and I'm getting that in the Green Party too. It's like people are telling me I'm attacking somebody when I'm like, I'm putting proof out right here. This is a proof. I'm not attacking. I'm saying, hey, you guys are rigging the primary.
Integrity. The word you're searching for is integrity.
Integrity. So I'm seeing that with what's going on in the Democratic Party, and we know all like the exit polls are not matching up, and Joe Biden's losing his mind, and we see that, and it's deteriorating. And the crazy thing is that how okay the Democratic Party is with that. And it just goes to show it's a big FU to people, because they're like, we know it, we know that you know it, and we're still putting it in front of you. And which goes to show that they would rather have Trump than they would have a Bernie Sanders. And of course, Bernie Sanders, I don't feel like is a real radical anyways, and especially when he's not going to stand up to Hillary Clinton, he's not going to stand up to the DNC. And I was really disappointed in him, not acknowledging that Tulsi was still in the race when he said, there's only two of us left, and Tulsi was still in it. And she had actually qualified to be on the debate, but of course the DNC wouldn't let her. So and then she quits the race and endorses Joe Biden. So again, you're back to the same problem. You're going to support, you keep holding water for the same corrupt people because you're playing team politics rather than saying, okay, well, if you want your team to win, you need integrity.
Yes.
And you can't, you're not getting the respect that you need because once, like, it's like if Bernie got in, if he's not willing to stand up to the establishment before he gets in, what makes you think that he's going to stand up when he gets in? I mean, he won't even stand up to, and he's Russia. He's Russia. And Putin's not gonna, no Putin. Just shut up about Putin. I'm like, come on, like the damage that Joe Biden has done to America could never, is way far surpassed anything that Putin could have ever done, to America. It's so ridiculous that, like, the whole Russia nonsense. I see a lot of people frustrated and upset with that, and I see a lot of people blinded. They really think Bernie's gonna get through, and I don't have faith because he's to me he's proven over and over that he's not willing to fight. He's just trying to he's got good ideas, good policy ideas, but he's not leading like we need someone to lead. He's 78 years
Bernie
old.
Sanders is part of the establishment? Is he an arm of the establishment, or is he external that never was able to breach the establishment and he's just sort of accepted that fate?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that I don't think that he's corrupt in the same way, but I think that he's a little bit caught up in the whole thing. And I think he's like the kid in high school, right? That was never cool. Then he does a show, does something, all of a sudden, like, he gets all this attention and he has this leverage. So it's like he's like these people finally respect him after so many years. And I don't know. It's just weird to me that you really want all these things to happen, and that you're calling these people your friend. They're not your friend. They're not your friend. They're not America's friend. And it blows my mind. So that's now his motive, and do they have something on him? Is he afraid? That kind of thing. He's been in politics for a long time. Like, he has enough power, but he's not using it. And the question is, why is he not using it, and why is he not going after it? I mean, did he know Epstein? You know what I mean? Like where's the back room? Like, what is keeping him from actually speaking out on some of the things? So I don't know that. All I know is that you're 78 years old. You've been talking about this. You were presented with a moment of a lifetime, of not just a lifetime of the history of the United States. WikiLeaks release showing that the DNC cheated the primary, and you just bended the knee to Hillary Clinton, to the DNC. So I can't get past that. Since then, I was so pro Bernie, like the Bernie. I say Bernie. Like when the bird flew on the stage back in the 2016 election, that was the moment that was so powerful. And for me, obviously it was disillusioned, but the energy wasn't fake, because people really believed, and that's what's so powerful for me. It was so beautiful, and it sucks, to want to feel that, and to just be disappointed by more corrupt people. Like, I mean, dude, you're 78 years old, fucking go out. You know what I'm saying? If they're going to do it, let them do it. Like, I mean, these people. So, I mean, that's why for me, it's like, even coming into the Green Party, since I'm newer and I don't have a lot of long-time relationships with these insiders, it allows me to survey what's going on and see what the behavior is happening from a macro perspective, where I don't have those personal relationships that pollute my feeling about someone, so, or cloud my judgment, I guess. So
yeah, wow, that's really powerful stuff. Thank you very much. Do you, just quickly before we do move on to the Green Party, what do you think about the election coming up? Do you think Trump's going to win, or Joe, or somebody else?
Well, okay, so Joe. Okay, well, so you got to unpack it. So we know that they have uh, mechanisms in place to still, voter suppression, gerrymandering, redlining, all these different things that they have in place. So now, do I think that they're going to be the ones that do the best? Joe and I don't think so. I think that if Joe gets the nomination, Trump's winning. I mean, Joe is they're screwing up, but it's so weird. It's so weird that they would try and pull something so or push something so silly. But I mean, look at the whole RussiaGate thing. Look at the FISA thing. Look at all these different things that
Is it the
they're
end of the
never.
Democratic Party? Is that the end? Is the Democratic Party going to be finished after this? Because Bernie's kind of split it in a way. There's the Bernie or bust people. Do you think this is the end of the Democratic Party as we know it? Is this it's finished? I mean, is it burnt up? Is it chewed up? Is it finished? Is it time for something
Well,
new? Is it turning
well,
into
again,
toilet paper, Chad?
yes, people are wiping their ass with the Democratic Party, and see, there's the thing is that's why people think Trump's the vehicle for change is because he's calling these people out. And they may not agree with him. They may think he's an ass, but they see him calling out the Clintons and Obama and pushing back on the deep state, pushing back on all these things that need to be pushed back. Again, that doesn't mean that I think that he's the vehicle, that I think he's doing everything that they're saying. I'm seeing a pulse and thread of that's what people want to see. And they're going to go for that wherever they're going to see that. That's what Bernie's missed, is he has the opportunity. All he has to do, that's what I'm saying, all you have to do to take Trump's sails out and say, screw Obama, screw the Clintons, call them out for what they're doing. And then that would, I'm telling you, that would take so much wind out of Trump's sails. But the problem is all they're doing is flaming the base, especially hitting them with all the BS, the Putin, the Russia, the FISA stuff, the trying to impeach him for the stupid things. It's political theater, and that's being revealed to everyone, which is a weird thing because you're seeing it, and so you're the right seeing it because they're being gaslit in real time. So they're seeing it in a different way. So I feel like that they're still shifting, and there was a lot of people that respected Tulsi Gabbard for calling out the thing. You know what I mean? For being against the regime change wars. And that was a big thing that Trump was talking about in 2016, about against war. So there's an interesting dynamic thing that's going on that I'm just trying to follow the pulse and see what people are feeling.
So Bernie is and this is a harsh way to say it because in some respects he's very resilient, but he's a bit of a coward because he just won't take that one step further and actually call the people out that the people want him to call out. He just won't go to that point, and without going to that point, he can't take on Trump and he can't supplant Biden because the DNC won't let him. So he's backed into a corner, and he won't fight his way out of the tiger pit, and that's all that really stopping him, right? Because if but do you think it's because of he's fearful for his safety? Is it his safety that he's worried about?
I mean, it could be. I mean, he knows these people like personally, and he knows a lot of the stuff that's going on behind the doors. I mean, I'm sure that I mean, they're going to screw with you however they can. I mean, this is how it goes, and I mean, this is how it goes. Yeah. So I mean, I understand that. The thing is it's not like we're have a lack of good ideas, good policy ideas. There's always good policy ideas coming from all over the place that you can make a hybrid of something, like piece it together. That's how I'm looking at it. So my whole focus hasn't been on crunching a bunch of numbers. Okay, this is how much it's going to cost, because that's not the problem. The problem now is we have to get these people out of control of our country, out of control of the world, causing damage, distress, and destruction everywhere we go. We have to get people aware and understand who we're fighting, because we're not fighting corporations. We're not fighting the government. We are fighting people individuals that are using the government, using these corporations to hide behind. And so when Bernie says, oh, well, the corporations and the big banks, no, it's these people running them. It's these individuals. Like that's something that you're not hearing. So that's for me, that's what I've been trying to, and I'll keep bringing it back to Green Party, because that's the connection. Is I know that when people find out Bernie's not the guy again, is that they can look at what I've been doing, which is focusing on identifying the toxic behavior and trying to bring awareness to it. Now, again, am I going to succeed at all these things I'm trying to do? I mean, that's to be determined, but that's the whole game that I'm trying to figure out.
Let's talk about that. This is you. I know you said that last time, but it's really just struck home to me what you're saying, and it's a very valuable point there. Let's talk about the Green Party USA, because let's talk about just start at the very beginning. Where are you up to in your process? Where are you personally? And then let's talk about the Green Party going forward into this pandemic, and then post-pandemic and the 2020 election. But let's start. Where are we now? We can catch up from the news from where we left off last time. What's been happening, and where are we?
Okay. Well, of course, we've had a few primaries now. We're at a point. Of course, everything's been shut down, so things are kind of a little weird in how the processes that we're doing, because they've stopped some and extended some, and everything's being done online. And I think that the party at this point realizes there's something wrong for the most part, but they've not, and I say they, is that it's the people that are in control of our media, because the narrative is everything, right? So it's GPUS. Actually, Green Party USA was the old party. GPUS is what it is now. So it's so much to it, which is, that's part of the problem. Is just it's a cluster, and it's very unorganized in a lot of ways. And a lot of people think that I'm coming down on the party, and then I'm talking down, and I'm not. I'm saying these are the things that need to be fixed. Like, how can you fix something if you're not, talking about it? I have seen there's starting to be more momentum with having these conversations and getting certain things out, because I feel like there's been a shift. Back in February, they were having a debate. There was for the primary. There were the 3 states were going to do their primary thing: Tennessee, Ohio, and then Illinois within like 2 days. Actually, it's the same day on a Saturday. So 3 other candidates flew into Nashville, and we all went to this potluck on a Friday night. And we went and met the Tennessee Greens and watched a film, which was really cool, and met everybody there, because it was the first time that they've even really had a gathering. So it's not even very active, so we need energy. We need someone that's got energy to, to try to pump people up. So, which was really cool to have us together, the candidates. And that's what we've really come to, is we've been working together. The presidential candidates, and putting our heads together, working as a unit, saying these are the problems, and we're, let's find solutions for them. Let's, we have to call out what's happening, because a lot of times people don't know that it's happening. And again, they have these relationships with these people and name recognition. And so they automatically dismiss the new person that's, like, hey, so we went to this potluck thing. It was really great. Then we jumped in the car. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and Friday night, drove straight to Columbus, Ohio, all 4 of us, and got there like 5 in the morning. We got a motel, whatever, for a couple hours, and then went straight to the debate. Well, we got there, and they weren't going to allow myself and Susan, which is another candidate that came in late, to be on the debate stage. Partly because Anita Rios, which is the co-chair of the Ohio party, I called her out back in September, because they did this eco-socialism event that was promoted using Green Party resources, but it wasn't an official event, and that was being shared on the official Green Party.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So she, made a scene about it, and then, of course, Sednam kind of jumped up in the way, and they kind of got into a little argument, and which is I appreciate, because it kept me from having to really go in to call this woman out at this time. But we went and sat down, and of course that's what they didn't want. They didn't want us to sit down, and it's what it was about. It was about me being on there. They didn't want to have everybody have the conversation or discuss. And I live streamed this whole thing, so I've got it on the Green Party Nation Facebook. So if you guys want to see a little bit of drama, so I guess they had voted to not allow other candidates, which the prerequisite was the official recognition, which we talked about. That is how Hawkins is a member of another party. He shouldn't have the official recognition. That's been used to prevent people from being on ballots, from speaking in front of 10 people at a state party, from just being to be able to be involved, and get your message out to Green Party. So they didn't want me to be on there. So the requirements was that, or if you were on the California primary ballot, which I'm like, why does that have to do anything with Ohio? But that's how they do. They pick and choose, and what they want to do in order to make the outcome that they want, which is basically to keep me off the stage because I'm obviously more vocal about certain things, especially Hawkins and stuff. So when they'll say, "Oh, we voted," but the thing is, why are you having a vote to censor people? You know what I mean? Why are you having a vote to not allow the respective diversity? Why are you being centralized when our platform says we're supposed to be decentralized? So anyway, long story short, it was this, it was drama for a minute, and one of the moderator kind of took over the thing and took the attention off and kind of settled everything down. So Anita ended up leaving the room. Everything was fine, What happened is that 3 of the candidates that were on there shared their time, split their time of the debate, and gave it to me and Susan to talk. So which was awesome. Again, it shows the solidarity and the unity between us candidates, and that I think that really resonated with the party, because that's what we're supposed to show. Hey, we're better as a unit together. Really working out these ideas, and you guys can decide. So that they didn't even put me on the ballot because it's an approval rating thing. But they left the space open, to write in, and I actually got a couple percent, so people at that place wrote me in. So that just goes to show why they were trying to, prevent, that they don't want, it's censorship. It's pretty much, it's no different. So and even when I was talking at my intro, you can hear it on the thing. Anita's in the back room like, disruption goes both ways. Disruption goes. And I'm like, that's not how I disrupted. I'm trying to be on the stage, to discuss my platform. They were giving up their time, splitting their time for them to talk less in order to have Susan and I. So it just goes to show their who they are, so it's just really, this is kind of what really kind of set the motion, because supposedly she's stepped down now because it was this big old drama thing. So quit, which is awesome. Again, those are some measurement things that, I've been a part of and been involved in, that I want people to see, hey, if I can't get rid of corruption and the bad behavior in our party, then how the hell am I going to do it, on a national level? So, I that's where we were talking about the connection. I want people to understand that that's the goal, is that you have to change the environment, the vibe, the energy, in order to allow people to get to where they need to be. Like, everybody's at a different place in their journey of a thought or however, and we have to give information and reach people at where they're at. And if we don't step back and look at it from that angle, then we're no better than the Democratic Party.
Yeah, well done for standing up to Howie Hawkins. That's a really brave move, and it's the right thing to do. Calling out corruption at any level is always a great thing to do, and it's also the most courageous, and usually those people don't get rewarded. But you know what? If you do it in a peaceful way, there are people, radicals in history, be that Jesus or Gandhi or others, who can prove that it can actually happen. So well done on that front. Let's talk about where the Green Party will go from here. So obviously now with this COVID-19 pandemic, unemployment is going to a record, this is the time for the Green Party to step up, right? This is now the time for social justice. This is now the time for economic justice. This is now the time to create jobs in the green economy. Where is it? Where is the party going now? With the current conditions being set, primed for a radical restructure of some parts and portions of the U.S. economic, social, political, and economic structure.
Well, there's a, they got policies and plans, and Hawkins' thing is the whole eco-socialist Green New Deal, because they keep trying to add on to it. It's about the phrasing and framing and branding, and his whole, and I keep going back because it's just important to acknowledge it. So that's a term that they're trying to coin and phrase, the eco-socialism thing. So there's different like, I guess, plans, when it comes to the presidential candidates. The party has its platform and positions on things, but there's no real action in a way that can change lives now, today, without having any office being held. And I think that's what the Green Party should be doing. We should be organizing our resources, helping people create these co-ops, helping people get what they need. I mean, we have all these state parties. We should be able to help direct, how for people to, grow things and exchange. And, we should really be redesigning society.
Well, what about do you think the Green Party should be leading protests against bailouts, protests against greedy bankers, protests against corrupt politicians? Do you think they should take an activist role in this sort of social dynamic?
I mean, I do, but I think it has to be very clever and different from ever before. I think we really have to be smart in our delivery of that. I don't think that we have to go and protest the same way that we've always protested before, because of,
so no more walking up and down streets. You can use digital.
No, I mean, there's gonna be some of that, and definitely needed, in order to cause the disruption, peacefully, of course. But I think there's so much we can do, because it's the narrative. Remember, the narrative is what allows them to hold on to their power, which hold on to their money. So that's what's so important, and that's why they're losing power, is because of social media. So everybody's going to these independent, independent media people, and most of the only people that watch your mainstream TV things are like an older demographic. You're basically your baby boomers. So there's this big shift. So I think there's a lot that we can do, and there's a lot that we've done. I mean, if you look at, look at the Epstein, like the meme and how it was shared like crazy. Although, Epstein didn't kill himself, kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure you saw. Was there a wave of that there with you?
Absolutely. We're very clued into American media here. Don't worry.
So, well, I mean, so there's so much power in just knowledge and understanding what's going on. So I think the Green Party has to be clever in how we do it. If the Green Party said, we condemn Clintons, we condemn Obama, we condemn Bush, we feel like they should, as a policy, as a platform thing, we should have our own Nuremberg trials. We should really prosecute these people for war crimes and for murder and all these. If we really took a real stance, extreme stance, what needs to happen, I think it would shake up things. So there's a lot of little different things that we could do that could really boost. But again, I think it has to do with the culture, right? So when you go to see a show, when you pick your culture, pick the thing that you like, whether it's baseball cards, convention, whether it's an art, tattoo, you know what I mean? Like, they have all these different things where when you go and it's your world, that the vibe is supposed to be amazing, right? It's supposed to be that brings people together. So I think we have to really mainly focus on our culture of the party and what we're representing and what people are feeling when they come to the party. Because if they feel comfortable discussing the information, or having a platform to go at it. Like, there's no place for you to be able to discuss or have friction, because again, the people that are running our social media thing, they censor people. And it's insane. Like, the guy that runs our social media, our media thing, is Hawkins' media guy, is on Hawkins' payroll. So there's a lot, like, the conflict of interest is so bad. And I mean, you see, the only thing that they're even sharing is things that are connected to Jill Stein. So Jill Stein's helping this lady, Lisa Savage, in Maine, because there's ranked choice voting there. So she was going to run. She was agreeing, but they changed the signature amount, or how many signatures from Greens you had to have, whatever. Anyways, so she's running independent now instead of running as a Green. So, but they want to get her in there, but they're still sharing the hell out of her stuff. Like, that's the point, is like, if you don't think you can win as a Green, why is anyone else going to join the party? You know, it's like, oh, well, we have to get the signatures. Well, okay, well, provide value for people, and you have the people here. If the people are in the party, they're going to give you signatures. You know what I mean? Like, which is ironic too. I guess if that's the right word to say it, is the way that they are about the signature thing. And that's the kind of shit that they're giving me, because I'm not chasing people down to go get signatures on a weird ass Google document that's controlled by John Andrews of the PCSC. That's the one that's actually helped rigging. Like, so if you go sign for me, you're putting your name and saying, okay, this is a person that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? You're putting yourself out there, like, here's a Chad supporter, so they can mess with you. So, like, there's a lot of I really think it has to do with what we're providing, because if we take the attention off the mainstream, that's huge. And that's why the primary should have been promoted. That's why the primary should have really allowed us to battle it out, because then would give people an opportunity to get engaged and get invested in the party without having to vote for someone. You see? Like,
yeah.
So once you get to the actual general election, it's too late, because at that point they're like, oh, you missed the primary. You know what I mean? Like, that's the buildup. You know, I mean, our elections are kind of too long, anyways. But like the process. But but the marching part is I want to do the marching band. I want to have the Green Party band. So anytime there's a march, there's a protest, that we have music, we have art and engagement, where it provides the background, the part that, I mean, music and art is everything. Everything. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I mean, look at all throughout history, that has been the real vehicle for change. And life imitates art. I mean, it is what it is.
That is very true. I second those comments, and it's very profound. You know, you can go back to the effigy, Guy Fawkes, something like that. But no, I'd like to keep coming back, Chad, to tell us what's happening with the party.
Sure.
And to inform me of any protests that are going to come up, because I would like to get to know some of the protest leaders on any of these issues, because there's going to be a huge amount of pain coming to the United States in the next few months, and that's only going to compound. And we want to make sure that the United States can maintain its sense of justice. And we're talking about economic justice, ecological justice, social justice, democratic justice, in line with the pillars of the Green Party. This is important. I mean, people do justice, but the big thing is that they need to be educated on, like you said, on the people, but also the systems that the people hide behind, those bad people hide behind. Because once the people are educated, you can't be defeated once an educated people know what they're protesting about. If they protest the building behind us, which is an evil entity, as we both know, that's one thing, but they've got to know why. They've got to know why they want to protest the building. They want to know why they've got to protest Hillary Clinton, Obama, George Bush, any of these actors that you've mentioned, Jamie Dimon, etc. Right. So we've got to know reasons why, and we've got to have education out there to give them something to be confident about, and not just blaming anyone, because the CIA, FBI, and a bunch of alphabet agencies are already working on the disinformation campaign as we speak, and they're getting ready to plant people into these crowds and disrupt these crowds from the and so they're trying to make they're going to try every attempt to stop the people from getting the justice that they deserve. And I don't want to see the Green Party fail on this. I want to see the Green Party accelerate in returning justice to the people.
And just to off of that is there's a way out that I want to offer intelligence agencies, because there's going to be need for a lot of PTSD help, and these people that have been playing behind the scenes and doing this stuff, like obviously I can't condone probably the behavior, and what they've been doing, but everybody thinks that they're right, because they're allowed to think that they're right. That's the mentality we have to understand. So when you say that, I want to bring that out, because that's the part you're really fighting, the dangerous part. Because if you're really serious about change, they have no problem with knocking your head off or just screwing you up however. So I say that to say it's time to shift things and give a way out for you guys. If you're undercover, you guys want to get out. If you need to disappear. But we got to stop. We have to move forward as a society, as a human race. It's time. I just want to add that on there, just so if my FBI agent guy is watching,
All right, thanks, Chad. Thanks so much. Really appreciate this update, and all the best to you, and cleaning out corruption in your party. Always encourage that. I'm not a fan of corruption at all, but it exists and it's awful. And also, take blockchain with you. Take blockchain. That's my gift to you. And I know you all know a lot about blockchain already, but that's something you have to get into the minds of the people over there, as a corruption disruptive technology for corruption. All right, Chad Wilson, thank you so much for coming on this episode of Dat Nation. Absolutely fantastic, and always love to have you on. I want to see more. And if you get wind of any of these protest leaders and any of these issues, please send them my way. I want to talk more about the different protests, and we want to organize, see the different disruption that America is facing, because it's going to be traumatic and it's going to be absolutely horrific in a way. And I think I know the people deserve justice. They deserve justice in every which way they can get. And they don't usually get it, and it's time they actually do get it. So, well done. All right, thanks, Chad. Thanks to everyone who's supporting Dat Nation, all the Patreons out there. Future Humanity Project says the future is in your hands. Thank you very much. That's Dat Nation, where we're busy putting death out of business. I'm your host, Steel Archer. That's Chad Wilson.